Good afternoon, my beautiful friends. I hope you all are having a lovely day today or night wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to my channel, and we are here for part 2 of the flip through of this massive Edgar Allan Poe junk journal that I have created for a personal swap with my dear friend, Mrs. Priscilla, who is releasethecraftin here on YouTube. And if you guys would, please go hop on over and check her out on her channel. She is an excellent mixed media artist and journal maker. She's already created my Poe journal for me, and she has a video of the flip through on that, so you guys can check out that gorgeous journal. And she also has a great series that she just started recently where she has a prompt once a month, and she has an art journal with me video that she does for you guys, among lots of other things. So yeah, you guys should go check her out, and I'll leave all the links for that down below for you guys. So let's just get started. So we left off with signature 1 in part 1, and for part 2 we are going to go through signature 2. So for the cover paper, I've just used the same paper as I did for the inside covers of the journal. And oh yeah, I forgot to tell you guys, this is Bow Bunny paper here, and then this is just like for the inside cover, this is canvas square paper here. So I've just got some pretty red sari silk ruffled here along the edge, and this sari silk, if you're interested, I did purchase from an Etsy shop, and I believe it's called VictorianGypsyGirl. If I can find the link, I'll link that down below for those of you who may be interested. So on the first page here, let's see if we can do it without Shakespeare. I've just got a large diagonal fabric pocket, and this fabric here is recycled from another skirt. I find a lot of skirts and use those. I find them useful because they have lots of fabric on them, and I'll get a lot of clothing items from Goodwill and thrift stores and such. So if you're on the lookout for nice embroidered fabric and special pieces, clothing is a great way to go. So this is a piece from a skirt, and I've just created a pocket with it. And then this is the second little pin that I've made. Like I mentioned previously in the other video, I made 3 of these. There's 1 in each signature. So I've just added a black feather to one of the Tim Holtz pin nibs. Let's see if I can give you a close-up view here. And I've layered it once again on the vellum that I've stamped and inked up. And then also I've hand stitched that along with some pieces of embroidered trim and flowers here, and a button to the vellum and then to the pocket. And I added a scroll here with the quote. And for this one, I've just attached the string by poking a hole through the pocket and through the scroll here, so that when you roll it up, you can tie it together and it stays. And so this scroll says, "It is by no means an irrational fancy that, in a future existence, we shall look upon what we think our present existence as a dream." I think Poe was such an intelligent man. Some of the things he said really lent to some deep thinking. But yeah, you just roll that back up and tie the little string, and it stays just like that. So I was just trying to figure out some neat ways to use scrolls in here. And so in the pocket, once again, I have another image from the vintage book that I have. This one is another Harry Clarke illustration from the story William Wilson, And then on the back side is an early and rather uncharacteristic work by William Heath Robinson from 1872 to 1944. And this is an illustration for the Raven drawn in 1900 and perhaps influenced by Aubrey Beardsley. And I just thought this was a beautiful illustration. And then I have another cabinet card with another duplicate image of Poe, but this one is a little bit different. And this is also a cabinet card that I received from Dolly, so thank you so much for that, dear. And we've got more coffee dyed paper. This is more of that paper I got from that store-bought journal. Some lined paper here. This is a little file folder that I made by hand. I just used one that I've received in Happy Mail as a template and cut it out using some of my scrapbooking paper, and I've just inked the insides because it was white, and I've used some some of these gold Tim Holtz rub-ons. And this is a this is a Lenore illustration, and it says, "For her the fair and debonair that now so lowly lies," and that is a quote from the poem. And I've just done some detail stitching here, and I've got some wax, some gold wax along the edges, and then a little Tim Holtz clipping sticker that says "Within my heart." And so I've just got a paper clip to help hold that shut, with some cheesecloth layered behind. And then tucked behind that is another anatomical heart journaling card. I loved this one. It's one of my favorites. And then plain on the back. Most of these journaling cards are layered onto some file folder to make them more sturdy. And then this is all on some more Rooibos tea dyed paper. Sorry, it's going to be hard to do this middle signature. This is more of that beautifully crunchy tracing paper, with this one with the ink splatters. This is, actually let me grab Shakespeare and see if this is going to help for you guys to see. This is in reference to Lenore. So I've just done a bunch of layering. This is just decorative. I've just done a bunch of layering on some scrapbook paper. This is a beautiful rose applique that I received from Priscilla, and I've got some of that, this is like that Halloween net fabric that I received from Dolly that I was really excited about. And then I've just got another Lenore image here. It's another quote from the poem. Broken is the golden bowl, the spirit flown forever. Beautiful, beautiful imagery. And then just some trim sewn along the edge. And then here I've just got, this is from a vintage dictionary, and I pulled out a page with the definition for poet, poetic, poeticize, etc., etc. And I've just done some stamping here, and then I added some lines along the side here for her to do some journaling. And then clipped to the bottom, it's just a little bulldog clip with a bell and some fabric there, is the second Rolodex card. This is the other one that I showed in my tutorial video. So there's the back, just some pin nibs, in the front. This is like a little desk set with some ink pots and such. And tucked inside of this one is just a scrap of coffee dyed paper. It's just blank for her to do some writing upon. And I had just had that clipped to the bottom of the page. And then we've just got some coffee dyed paper here. Here's another Franken page. Like I said, I really enjoyed utilizing this technique for this book because I was able to use up all of the beautiful scraps that I had. And so I've just done another layered pocket here. I didn't want to cover up too much of these pages because I thought they were really beautiful. And I used a lot of handmade paper in this journal, so we've got another quote at the bottom that says, "And all I loved alone." And then this is the third gorgeous embossed tag that I received from Dolly, and backed with just some lined tea-dyed paper. And then this is one of those Tim Holtz botanical ephemera pieces, and then more of those leaf punches. I don't know if I showed you guys that punch last time, but this is the punch that I used to make the leaf shapes. It's a Fisker's punch, and I just punched them out with some black cardstock. It's a fantastic little punch that I got on sale. So if you were interested how I got these little leaf shapes here, that's how I did that. Just some lace along the edge. And then here we have a large pocket with some mesh and flocking. So let me take that out so you can, told you this was going to be difficult for this one. Well, maybe you can't really see without the cards, but there's the beautiful design here on the pocket. And so tucked inside is just this beautiful journaling card. And I cannot remember the artist who did these illustrations, but it's just back with some rooibos dyed scrapbook, cardstock. And then this is a handmade envelope. I've just wrapped some seam binding around. If I can get it undone. And I wrapped it that way because I've got it sewn to the edge of the envelope, and then there's just a little flower applique here. And this I made out of some printouts of Edgar Allan Poe's work. And so tucked inside of this envelope is the entirety of Lenore, and then also, I believe, is The Sleeper. The whole poem of The Sleeper is also in here. So that's what's inside of this little envelope that I've made. And you just wrap it around like so and tuck under the end of the seam binding. And then this is just like a collaged little section here. This is one of those pages from that book I was telling you about. The back side says A Trance of Lovers, but this side it didn't really go with the theme of the journal, but I liked the imagery. I thought it was pretty neat, so I just kind of covered up the rest with some little spaces to write and then some cool little images. So there's some roses that I fussy cut, a little femur bone, little mouse down here, and the word toxique. And so the back side, A Trance of Lovers, a garland of poems, etc., and their little cats. I thought that was funny. More coffee-dyed paper. It's a little half page with made out of handmade paper, and then it's got a lace pocket here. And then this is just a little scrap tag that I've made. It's got a tab at the top made out of that the collaged paper that I made out of his book text. So I've got a little bit of embroidery at the bottom, and then these, I did a bunch of these punch outs. I don't have it handy, but it's a little miniature punch of a bird. And then inside I've just random text from his work. It says, "To observe attentively is to remember distinctly." And then again with the black leaves, and then this was a doily transfer from when I coffee dyed the paper. And then I'll do that later. And then here we have another quote that says, "The best things in life make you sweaty," which is very true. Love, fear, anger, I mean, you know, the most intense emotions, of course. Just some trim here along the edge. This is trim that I cut from clothing, and she could tuck something in here if she wanted, but it's kind of loose. Another flip out with some vintage lace sewn to the edge. This is more tracing paper, and it did rip, but I like it, so I left it. And this is the blood drips and fingerprints. More handmade paper with the text. And then on the other side is a large tuck spot with some embroidered trim here. And then tucked inside is this journaling card, which is an advertisement for fountain pens. And then backed with coffee dyed cardstock. And then as well, I've just got this, it's a poem that I printed out and aged, and I've just wrapped some of this burlap string around, and then I sealed it with a wax seal and added a feather into the wax seal. And then the poem is The Haunted Palace. So I thought that came out really nice. And then we just have some more coffee dyed paper. Another little partial page here with a vellum pocket. And then just a little postcard backed with lined paper. He was a writer. And like I said, he did write a lot of letters, so, and then just some pretty little lace trim on the edge. I left the back blank, so you can add a photo or something. This is more of that cool calligraphy practice paper. And then I've just cut out like a little flag here with some fabric and sewn on a feather. More coffee dyed paper. Getting to the middle of the signature, this is the graphic 45 paper I was showing you guys in the last signature, and it just has some really cool images on it, and that's why I really liked it. So there's a little tuck spot here lined with this neat trim, and tucked inside is this craft envelope, and I added a black string to it and inked it up. And then inside of the envelope is Spirits of the Dead, which is a 5-part poem. And that just goes inside of this envelope. And I really liked the way that this one closed. I like the shape of the flap on this one. And so that's why I just love this paper, and I thought it spoke for itself, so that's why I left it blank on that side. And so here on the middle of the signature, I just have this vellum section, and you guys know how much I love working with vellum, so I wanted to do something neat with it. And so on the opposite side, you'll see I have a large photograph of Poe, a funny one. And so layered behind it, I have part of the poem, The City in the Sea. Sorry if you guys can hear my kitty cat. So this is just part of that poem. And I've sewn some of this gold leaf trim along the edge. And so this is the middle of the second signature. And then this is not a real photograph of Poe. This is like a photoshopped image of him. And I just thought it was hilarious, so I wanted to use it. And let's move Shakespeare now. This is the very center of the book, so we should be good to go. But it was funny, and so yeah, I just printed it out really big, and I've made like a huge frame out of pieces of this black trim and gold trim, and then I've got some different black trims down here, and more of the gold trims. So I thought that was cool. And then on the opposite side, I've just made 2 large vellum pockets to hold these 2 journaling cards with more anatomical hearts, and I've edged them in gold. Love this one as well. Backed on coffee dyed scrapbook paper and file folder. I'm sorry, cardstock, not scrapbook paper. I don't know why I keep wanting to say that. Love the illustration of the vein work on this one. A lot of these are vintage. I tried to find vintage illustrations as much as I could. Love this one. And so that's that. More gold leaf trim. Oops. And that's the back. So you could actually put the journaling cards in so you can see the images through the back of the vellum. And so this is the other side of that cool scrapbook paper, and that's why I really liked it, because I loved the large skeleton guy. He's so cool. He's got a mustache and a top hat and a cane, so I cut it out so that you could see him. And so clipped there, I just had this little tag here. And if you guys remember from Creatures of the Night, I made 1 or 2 of these, I believe, from a template that Kim had sent to me a long time ago. And so I just used some of the embossed paper that she had gifted to me, and I've added some of the black rose vellum, some red seam binding, and I've got a bulb pin up here, and I've added some charms. This is a little rose charm, and then one of the little metal embellishments that I've made. And so it's got this little tuck spot in the back. You open it up, and tucked inside is another quote by Edgar Allan Poe. I have absolutely no pleasure in the stimulants in which I sometimes so madly indulge. It has not been in the pursuit of pleasure that I have periled life and reputation and reason. It has been the desperate attempt to escape from torturing memories, from a sense of insupportable loneliness and a dread of some strange impending doom. Very deep, very dark, yes. But I thought that was a great one to put inside of this tag. And so I just had it clipped to the page like so. And then here on this clip, there's just one of the embellished charms that I've made. And then clipped to the other side, I just left this blank because this goes here. And this is actually, this is in reference to the Telltale Heart. Okay, this is a little bit unfinished. If any of you guys caught the live streams that I did, the Craft With Me ones where I was testing out the live streams, then you would have seen what I made when I made these, or when I was working on these. So, inside of this envelope, I have the drawing of the dreaded eye. So I still have to finish this, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some embossing powder, and I'm going to go through the eye and turn it, white and cataract, and I'm going to do some red. I'm going to take some redness and go through the veining, and then I'm basically just going to outline with a black pen, and then vaguely everything else is just going to be implied. So I will either come back, possibly I'll come back on Monday in a short live stream and show you, or I'll post it on my Instagram when it's finished. And then this was the keyhole that I had made, but I am considering scrapping this. But my idea was to make a 2-part interactive tag so that the eye could be seen through the keyhole, and you could kind of just flip it up like so, etc., etc. So I've tucked that in here for now. And then this is the floorboards for the hidden heart. So it's basically just a giant sort of envelope tag that I've made out of this wood grain scrapbooking paper. So here's the back. here's the front, and these may or may not be bloody fingerprints where the guy wasn't very careful. But basically I have cut out this section here to represent the broken floorboard that can be lifted up, and inside you can see the heart, which is also unfinished. It takes time, you guys, and so this is the heart that I have started to create, and I've just got to go in and do more concentrated color, and then I'm going to go over it with glossy accents to make it more real. And then I've also got to go in and do work on the veining. But this is the heart, and the back is blank so that she can actually write some secret information or journaling on there if she'd like to. So yeah, I just left the bottom open so that she can pull it in and out, but I loved the idea that you could lift up the floorboard and see the heart underneath the floor, because that's the whole idea of the story. Telltale Heart is one of my favorites. I think it's a lot of people's favorites, so I had to add it in here, and I think all of this speaks for itself. So that is what I've done for the Telltale Heart, and I will absolutely show you guys when it's completely done. I'll show you what I've done. So the next page is just a little flip out coffee dyed paper. This is more of that awesome calligraphy page with another feather, another flag, more coffee dyed paper. This is another partial page. It's an advertisement for inks, and it's a little tuck spot. And then on the other side, I've just got another piece of that gold applique, and then I've taken some scraps of let's see if I can bring it closer so you can see. I've taken some scraps of lace and rosettes. I know, I'm sorry about my lighting. And then I've sewn them together, and I've made a little pocket, and then tucked inside of the pocket I've got this little altered ticket that I've made, and let's leave that in there, and then another scroll. And I wasn't going to read them all, but hey, why not? Let's have some fun. I'm sure you guys want to know what's in here. It says, years of love have been forgot in the hatred of a minute. And that is from Complete Stories and Poems. And then on the opposite page, we have another quote that says, there is no exquisite beauty without some strangeness in the proportion. That is another of my most favorite quotes by him. Love the markings on this paper. And then here we have a page with a large lace belly band. And inside I've just tucked, oh, we're caught here, I've just tucked this tag and poem, and then here's the page. I've just done some detail stitching with this vine stitch, and then on the ends of some of the vines I've added these black and gold rosettes, and then on the edge here I've added this bulb pin with this charm that I made. And this is from a bracelet that I took apart. It just had a bunch of these pieces linked together, and so they were these little things that you could add your own little like epoxy images and stuff. So I took these resin roses from Tim Holtz and some glitters, and I put some glossy accents in and made these little charms. So there are 2 of these in the book, and then this is the page here with the stitching and this belly band. This beautiful lace here is from Priscilla, by the way. And then the poem I've added is A Dream Within a Dream. And then this is the other large tag I've done. And the quote here is, those who dream by day are cognizant of many things which escape those who dream only by night. And that's why I added A Dream Within a Dream behind it. And so I've taken these applique pieces and I've just collaged them onto the tag haphazardly, sort of like, I wanted it to be sort of like, this is an explosion of what his dream looks like. So I don't know if you can understand what I'm saying, but that's sort of the message of what I wanted to convey with these. So these pieces of these embroidery, the embroidery pieces of fabric are like an explosion of what the dream is. I hope that makes sense. But here's a close-up. See, like, this one is coming out of his head. I loved this piece at the bottom. This was from a shirt that I thrifted. And there's the back with the large space where she can use a gel pen to write. And then there's just some more ruffled mesh along the edge of the page. And then this is the back side. More crinkly, bloody paper. Coffee dyed paper here. This is more of that store-bought journal paper. Paper with the really cool texture, and then more of that trim sewn along the edge. And then here I've just got a vintage dictionary entry with Edgar Allan Poe, poem, posy, poet on it. Let's see if I can show you a close-up. There we go. And then the other side of that handmade paper, I've just added some coffee dye lime paper and a couple of images here. And then on the other side, I've just used this large rosette as a tuck spot for this Tim Holtz ephemera piece, which is an advertisement for printers, binders, and stationers. And that just tucks right in there. More coffee dyed paper. Here is our next poetry reference. This is another page from that book, An Exaltation of Larks, and this one is for A Peal of Bells. And so there's an image here with a bunch of bells, and they have wings and arms. Isn't that cool? So neat and so perfect for the bells, which has always been one of my absolute favorite poems. I don't know why, I've just always loved it, and it's one of the first ones I've ever read. And so just like the others, I just didn't add any parchment to this one, but I've sewn it to the page, and then behind is some secret writing area for her, and I've just added a paper clip there. And then on the opposite side is a Franken page, and I've made like a shaker pocket out of some tracing paper, and inside of it is the last stanza of the poem, The Bells. So you can see that. And so I've done some inking and stamping all around the page. And let me see if I can get the, here we go. And so there's some glitter pieces, some large pieces, some little pieces, some iridescent glitter. There's a little fan in there. And then tucked inside of the pocket is another of these little scrap tags that I made with a little tab that says creepy, and it's just blank inside. And then, of course, I had to add a bulb pin with some bells. So there's a gold bell, a silver bell, a brass bell, and some lace along the edge. And then this is the back of the Franken page that I left blank because it was so pretty. More coffee dye paper. This is the other side of the page with the dictionary paper, and it's got like poison, poisonous, etc. And then I just added this skeleton guy, and in his hand he is holding an itty bitty scroll. I just did it for fun. And so you just push it out like that, and this scroll says, well, if I can get it untied, there we go. This scroll is, my goodness, okay. invisible things are the only realities. And that is from Loss of Breath. And I thought that that was funny. Sort of like the skeletons laughing, ha ha ha, invisible things, or blah blah blah, the only realities. I don't know. I thought it was funny that the skeleton was holding that one. But anyway, that goes in his little hand. And then paper, with this clip here, and there's a charm on it with a metal bead with roses. And so clip to the top of this page, I didn't want to cover this up because it's got a beautiful design, are the next two envelopes. So I've got this one that I've made, and I've edged it in gold. Just another one with text, and then the fake little postal stuff made out of crinkled coffee dyed paper. And inside of this one is Ulaloom, which is one of his greatest. And so I just tucked that one in there. Oh, and these smaller text pages, I don't think I showed you the other book that I used, but it's this one, The Fall of the House of Usher and Other Writings. And I got this book from Priscilla in our swap. It was a gift from her, and so I used quite a bit of the pages from here. So I really appreciate that, Priscilla, because it came in very handy. And so this is the other, one of the other embellished envelopes. I showed this one on my Instagram a while back. I just made it from the pages, from some of the pages that I print out from the internet. But I've just got sari silk scraps here, some embroidered, I'm sorry, not embroidered, some leaf trim, an image of Poe, and I've just taken some silver trim here, and I made him a little crown. So I took a piece of the silver trim, laid it down, and then added a whole lot of gemstones and glued them on there as a crown. And then a wax seal on the back, and I lined the envelope. And then tucked inside of this one are, ooh, I think I got it backwards, because this is pages 5 and 6 of the biography. Yeah, I've definitely got this backwards. So this one is actually supposed to be in the last signature. Oops. Whoops-a-daisy. I'll leave that out so I can remember to do that. Oops. More crunchy paper here. Coffee dyed papers. And then on this one we've got a quote that says, "Deep in the earth my love is lying, and I must weep alone." So sad. And here I've just got one of my gessoed book page little flips. This is a painting of Mrs. Poe. It's a crazy story about her, lots of confusion. I've just sewn a scrap piece of that beautiful lace from Priscilla on the back with some leaf trim, and you just open it up. I've just added some coffee dyed lined paper over the words so she can use this to write on, and then there's some stenciling as well, and so that just clips to the page here. But his wife died, and so that's why I put it with the quote here. Coffee dyed paper. And this is the last page of the signature, you guys. So just like the first page, there's this large pocket here that I made out of that skirt fabric, and then tucked inside is this large journaling card that I used. This was from a Halloween ephemera pack that I had. I believe it's by Recollections, but it's got, if you can see, it's vaguely, it's an image of a cemetery. So there's a gate here, and then all the little tombstones and a hill in the background with some trees. I thought it was properly creepy, and so I've just added some coffee dyed paper to the back. And then This is another scrap tag that I've made from the handmade paper. Didn't want to waste any of that, so I've done some detail stitching along the edges, and then there's a doily here and a piece of ephemera, some lace, and then inside lined paper and a quote that says, "If you wish to forget anything on the spot, make a note that this thing is to be remembered." And that is so me. If there's any quote that matches who I am, it's this one. But anyway, I've just added a pin and more lace to that, and that just tucks in the pocket there. So this is the back side of the last page with more ruffled sari silk. And that's it, you guys. That is the second signature, and once again, I really appreciate all of you guys hanging out with me for this, and that's it. I will see you in part 3 for the remainder of the journal. So you guys, don't forget to spread the love, and I'll see you next time. Bye!